Galapagos sea lions are one of the animals that people connect with most easily in the islands. Visitors may arrive anticipating the giant tortoises and the Darwin's finches, but more often than not, they leave with more photographs and some of their strongest memories of sea lions. There's something immediately familiar about them. They're mammals. Their pups are incredibly cute. They play, they fight, they get annoyed, and above all, they seem to have fun. At times, watching young sea lions is remarkably like watching puppy dogs playing on a beach. The Galapagos sea lion is an endemic species found almost entirely in the Galapagos Islands. They belong to the eared seal family, the Otaridae, and their closest relative is the California sea lion. Unlike true seals, sea lions have visible external ears and can rotate their hind flippers underneath their bodies, which means they can actually walk and even gallop on land. We find them around much of the Galapagos coastline, from remote uninhabited islands to beaches right in the middle of towns. They rest on sandy beaches and rocky shores, and they're extraordinarily capable on land. They have immensely powerful forelimbs and strong shoulders, and they can haul themselves over rocks and up slopes that look completely unsuitable for such a heavy animal with no legs. There's also a very obvious difference between males and females. Females are smaller and more streamlined, while fully grown bulls become enormous with thick necks, powerful shoulders, and a pronounced forehead. A large adult male can weigh several times as much as a female. That difference is closely connected to their breeding system because males have to compete physically for access to the best territories.
Before we continue with today's video, if you're thinking about visiting the Galapagos Islands, then you're in the right place. I'm Paul McFarling, and I've been guiding here since 1992. Over the years, I've worked with many of the leading cruise and tour operators in the Galapagos, helping visitors experience these incredible islands and unique wildlife. Today, I organise unforgettable Galapagos adventures for visitors of all ages, with a particular specialism in student, alumni, and educational group tours. Whether you're planning a private trip, a family holiday, or a group expedition, I'd love to help you get the most from your Galapagos experience. Check out the link below and get in touch today to start planning your Galapagos adventure.
Sea lions are predators, and fish make up the overwhelming majority of their diet. Researchers found a surprisingly flexible diet, including sardines, reef fish, and deep water species, with different colonies and even different individuals specializing on different prey. Small amounts of squid, rays, and even sharks have also been detected in recent dietary studies. That flexibility is important in Galapagos because food availability can change dramatically from place to place and from year to year. Their whiskers, or vibrissae, are another important adaptation. They're extraordinarily sensitive and allow a sea lion to detect movements and disturbances in the water, helping it trap prey. In the water, they're fast, agile, and extremely maneuverable. On land, they look almost cumbersome by comparison, although anyone who has seen one suddenly gallop across a beach knows how deceptive that appearance can be. And the ocean controls almost everything in their lives. During the cool season, nutrient-rich water supports greater marine productivity and more food. During strong El Niño events, warmer surface water reduces the productivity and prey becomes much harder to find. This can be devastating for them. During the 97-98 El Niño, monitored populations fell dramatically as animals died or moved elsewhere in search for food. For females, finding enough food is particularly important because Galapagos sea lions invest enormously in their offspring. Their young can continue suckling for 2.5 years or more, so a female may be feeding a large dependent youngster while also producing another pup. I've actually seen a female still suckling from her own mother while her own pup was suckling from her, essentially 3 generations connected at the same time. On another occasion, I saw one female successfully feeding 3 healthy offspring of different ages. The youngest one was a couple of months old, then it had another sibling a year older, and its older sibling was 2 years older. I've only seen that once, and it was quite an extraordinary sight. Normally, overlapping offspring creates intense sibling competition because an older pup is larger and stronger and can outcompete a newborn for access to milk. Females follow an approximately annual reproductive cycle, and sea lions use delayed implantation, where development pauses after mating before the embryo implants. This helps maintain the timing of reproduction. Births can occur at different times in Galapagos, although they are concentrated during periods when marine conditions and food availability are favourable. The males, meanwhile, are competing for sections of coastline used by females. A good territory might contain protected water, tide pools for pups, shade possibly, and places to rest, but it also needs to be defendable. Holding a territory is exhausting, and a dominant bull can spend so much time chasing rivals that he has very little opportunity to feed. You can see why the shape of the coastline matters. On a long open beach, one male can enter from one direction, while another comes in from the opposite end. The dominant bull chases one away, turns around to deal with the other, then the first one comes back. Meanwhile, males that aren't holding territories are feeding and building up their energy. Eventually, the dominant animal becomes exhausted enough for a stronger, fitter rival to replace him. Not all males ever control a breeding territory, and many gather in bachelor colonies instead. One of my favourite examples is on South Plaza. The bachelor males there go to extraordinary lengths to avoid the breeding beaches and the dominant bulls controlling them. They climb surprisingly tall cliffs, and quite quickly too, to reach their resting area. For an animal of that size, it takes enormous strength, stamina and skill. What makes it particularly impressive is that there's an easier way ashore, but it would take them straight through the territories of breeding males. They'd rather make this extraordinary climb than risk an unnecessary fight. It gives you a completely different appreciation of how powerful these animals are, and of the length a male will go to avoid confrontation until he's ready to compete. And then there are the pups. Perhaps nowhere do sea lions become more memorable than underwater. Snorkeling with young sea lions is one of the great Galapagos wildlife experiences. They dart around you, twist and turn, investigate your fins, come right up to your face and blow bubbles into your mask. Sometimes they appear fascinated with their reflection. They're curious, incredibly agile, and clearly very playful. That playfulness is also visible on land. Sea lions pick up sticks, stones, and other objects, throw them up in the air, and sometimes even catch them. Their close relative, the California sea lion, is famous for its intelligence and trainability, but those abilities come from behaviors that exist naturally in wild sea lions. Life isn't all play though. Sharks are important predators, particularly of younger sea lions, and they can come remarkably close to shore, very close to the colony itself. The sea lions themselves are highly maneuverable, and I've watched adults, including large bulls, actually chasing sharks away from colonies. That doesn't mean the male is deliberately acting as a babysitter, but the behaviour can certainly benefit pups sharing that stretch of coastline. This connects with one of the biggest changes I've seen during more than 3 decades in Galapagos. When I first started working here, places like South Plaza, North Seymour, Mosquera had large numbers of sea lions. These colonies are now much smaller than I remember them, and some of them have very, very few left. At the same time, Puerto Bacarizo on San Cristobal has developed an extraordinary urban sea lion population. Sea lions occupy beaches, jetties, walkways, and other parts of the waterfront, and San Cristobal now contains some of the largest concentrations of the species. The national park specifically recognizes Puerto Bacarizo as an important urban colony requiring dedicated management. I have my own hypothesis about part of this change. Around several traditional colonies, I've seen sharks become much more conspicuous over the years. Puerto Bacarizo, in contrast, has constant human activity: boats, engines, harbour traffic, and noise. My hypothesis is that this activity makes the busiest parts of the harbour less attractive to sharks, creating a safer environment for sea lions and particularly for pups. And due to the high competition in the area of Puerto Bacarizo, we find the biggest bull sea lions in the whole of the archipelago right there. That explanation hasn't been scientifically demonstrated, so I present it as my own interpretation of what I've watched happening over the years. But the contrast is striking. An environment that looks heavily disturbed to us can be occupied by hundreds of sea lions that appear completely comfortable living alongside people. And they really do live alongside us. In Galapagos, sea lions often behave as though humans are simply part of the scenery. They sleep on benches, climb steps, occupy docks, get into boats, and lie down wherever they can find a comfortable space. People construct barriers to keep them out of certain areas, and sea lions have an impressive ability to work out how to get around them. That extraordinary lack of fear is something we have a responsibility to protect. Sea lions shouldn't be touched, fed, or encouraged into close physical contact. Apart from maintaining their natural behavior, separation reduces the risk of diseases passing between people and domestic animals. That matters because the Galapagos sea lion is classified as endangered. Its population has declined substantially over recent decades, and current estimates place the archipelago population at roughly 17 to 24,000 animals. Climate change, strong El Niño events, reduced food availability, fishing interactions, and pollution all add to a species that exists in a very restricted part of the world. So when a sea lion pup comes up to your mask in Galapagos, the best thing we can do is enjoy the encounter without interfering with it. Their willingness to live alongside us is one of the things that makes these islands extraordinary. Keeping that relationship on their terms is one of the best ways we can help keep it that way.